What is up, guys? It's Jake from Team Insanity, bringing you another video, and today this is going to be a little bit different. I'm wearing this Plum Life hat in honor of Damian Ryan getting fired from Vulcan. This is sort of what is sparking this video. I've kind of wanted to make this video for a while, but I haven't felt the need to make it because I just haven't had, I don't know, I guess you could say the right time to make it. So this right now I feel like is the right time because it's a big controversy right now in the paintball community. Basically, long story short, if you guys don't know Damian Ryan or who he is, he's a pro NXL player, and he was working for Vulcan Sports. He made a Facebook post talking about the NXL, which is what I'm going to talk about a little bit. Vulcan didn't like that, so they publicly, Gino, the owner of Vulcan, publicly fired him on that Facebook post, which made everyone go crazy. So everyone was freaking out about it. And that sparked a big conversation, and it really made the paintball community sort of see things a little bit differently. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. So, first thing, Damian Ryan put in his Facebook post a bunch of numbers, how the NXL is falling, and that they're not trying to actually grow the sport. They only care about the money. Now, I'm going to talk about my experience at NXL events because I've been to Chicago for about 3-4 years, and I've been to World Cup for about 3-4 years, and I've played them. So I've been there, done that. I can talk a little bit about it. So I agree with what everything Damian Ryan has been talking about. And paintball is not going to grow with GI Sports owning NXL. Paintball is ran ass backwards. It's ran completely different than every other sport out there in the entire fucking universe. It's stupid how it's ran. I'm going to talk about how I think we can change that here at the end. So basically, for you guys that don't know, paintball is all about the player experience. Creating a great player experience in return is going to make people want to come back to you. So, what I mean by the player experience: field condition, field quality, the venue where a thing is located, the referee, the staffing, the pricing of everything, all of that all wraps into the player experience. The NXL doesn't give a fuck about the player experience. Point in case being the Atlantic City Open. People hated going to the Atlantic City Open. People hated Atlantic City. It was the most bitched about event, but the NXL didn't care because they kept outselling the venue, and they kept doing really, really good at that venue, and they kept making money. So they said, fuck you guys, we're going to keep doing it. And that's why Atlantic City ran for so long, because people kept on going. Why? I don't know. Probably because it was just in a location where everyone could get to. That's neither here nor there. But point in case being, they didn't give a fuck about what people's opinion were. If you keep buying it, we're going to keep doing it, whether you hate it or not. And here's the thing. The shitty part is a lot of the divisional teams get shit on. You don't see that on the Go Sports webcast. They only want you to see what they want you to see. It's sort of media control because they only want you to see what they want on Go Sports. The grass looks great on the webcast. It's really not. I played on the pro field. The grass isn't always all that great, but it looks good. Again, they want you to only see the good things on the field. You can see the pro players sliding. You can see them running and gunning. You can see them doing all this stuff. And the field looks easy. It looks open. That's what everyone sees. NXL looks great, right? There's a new D4 and D5 team created every day. Every time I go to the paintball field, it always seems like there's a new D4, D5 team. So that's why the NXL doesn't give a fuck about those D4, D5 teams. There's always going to be more D4, D5 teams right around the corner. There's a new one created every single day. People are going to want to keep going and playing the NXL. No matter what, they can shit on the D4, D5 division, even D3, because guess what? They don't really care. You're gonna keep playing paintball at your local field anyways. You're probably gonna join another team who's gonna say, hey, let's do NXL. You're gonna get suckered back into it. The NXL is gonna take all the money that they possibly can out you and spit you out dry, give you a shitty experience, and you're gonna go home and say you're never gonna play again, but you most likely will. That is sort of why the NXL doesn't really care about those smaller teams. And you know what? Even if you don't play, they don't really care because, like I said, there's another team right behind you that will go play. The D2 and D1 players especially, some of the D3 teams, depending upon where you're located, are sort of in this weird zone where you're trapped. The D2, especially D2 and D1, You can't play paintball mostly at your local field. Most local tournaments, like here in Michigan, there's not a D2 division. There's not even a D3 division. There's just, I mean, there is sort of a D3 division, but nothing that's D2. You're not going to find quality players at the D2 division. How do you play D2 and how do you play D1 paintball? How do some players play D3? You're going to play the NXL. So you know what? They shit on those guys a little bit less. But they don't really care either because they have everything monopolized because there's no other groups. There's no other big events out there that really do D2. There's the MSXL, but up here in Michigan where I'm at, there's not a whole lot. You know, like I said, there's the MSXL and then there's the WCPPL over on the west side. But again, that's not the NXL. A lot of people want to go to World Cup, all this other stuff. So they don't give a fuck about the D4 and D5 players. So what they do is they give them a terrible, shitty experience. You get a shit field. I've played on shit fields. I've played on things that's not grass. And you know what? They don't really care because they don't care if you come back, like I said. But the other thing is that they're going to take whatever venue that they can get. The NXL, they don't pay a lot of money to have that property and stuff rented out. I don't know the exact cost, but there's a lot of rumors about there being that it's free or it's super, super cheap. Just because the communities, they get these lots and they get these areas, just because the community wants 2,000 paintball players coming into and spending all their money within the community, raises the economy, sweet, more people spend money. So GI Sports and the NXL doesn't have to spend a lot of money on these venues, on the venue area. What do they have to spend their money on? They have to spend it on the staff. So the refs, for instance. So half of the refs that because I've played D4 X-Ball, I've played D3 X-Ball. The refs are fucking terrible, especially on the 10-man field too. They just shit on you. They don't give a fuck about you out on these fields. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. I'm a referee. I'm a paintball referee. I have refereed soccer and I have also refereed wrestling, so I've been an official in other sports. Mistakes happen. You can be the best referee out there and mistakes will happen. Point in case, New Orleans Saints versus St. Louis Rams. Big thing that just happened, blown calls. It happens every week in football. It happens every week in basketball. It happens in hockey. It happens in every sport. You're going to get fucked by the refs. But the thing is like in the NXL, is that it's more often than not that you're going to get fucked by the refs. Like I go in to the NXL to be like, wow, I'm just ready to experience what I'm going to get fucked by today. Maybe it's going to be me, maybe it's going to be the other team. I don't know, who knows, but we're going to get fucked. Why? Two reasons. Because they want the most profit, so they're going to lower the cost of the refs. The refs don't get paid shit, so they don't really care. Or you're not going to get those experienced refs. You're not going to get any refs that actually give a shit about paintball and actually are there because they're not going to make any money being there because they have to pay for traveling expenses. They have to pay for all this other shit, and you're basically going to work sun up to sundown to get like $3 an hour. Any person with a brain that's been in the paintball community, that's been a ref, you got me fucked up if you think that I'm going to be there. So they don't hire a lot of experienced refs. They hire just Joe Blow, who they can get. The better refs are going to be on those D2, D1, and Pro fields. So as the lower divisions are, you're not going to see that. Who are you going to see on the lower division fields? When I played 10-man, I had a field in Chicago where there was more non-English speaking people than there were English speaking people. Which I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but when I walk out onto the field and you can just tell that they've either never played paintball or don't know what they're calling and they're just sort of still new, when I see a referee using a rental mask, that's sort of a fucking issue. That's the kind of shit that the NXL does. That is what Damian Ryan put in his Facebook, that, hey, we need to create a better player experience. Again, we need to hire better referees. We need to spend more money on these refs. GI Sports and the NXL, they don't really care. Tom Cole wants to maximize the profits, and he doesn't really... And how is he going to maximize those profits? Well, it's not going to be going to shittier venues. It's going to be going to literally shittier venues. That's why there is no NXL Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach was the coolest fucking setup ever. The NPPL, they would roll out turf on a legit beach. Great location. They'd spend more money for that venue. It'd be in public. Public people could walk on the beach and see paintball. Super cool. Nothing else like it. You don't see that in paintball anymore. Why? They're going to take the cheapest venue and they're going to take what they can get. World Cup is on a fucking cow farm. Okay, there's holes, there's no grass, or it's just crabgrass, it's half torn up. There's fucking roots and shit out there, so they don't care. So how they gonna maximize more profit? They're gonna lower their cost of their overhead, their people that they're paying. Therefore, you're gonna get shitty refs. There's gonna be a lot more worse calls out there than normal. Again, bad calls are gonna happen, but at the NXL, it's just known that there's bad calls. The other thing is, half the fucking time the scoreboards don't work. The first year that I played World Cup with the NXL, I should say, the first World Cup that I played with NXL, we had to stand out on the field for like 45 minutes to an hour because they couldn't get the scoreboard to work. They couldn't start the game. They had no way of starting the game. So how did they start the game? They had Pablo on the sideline, who is the head referee that's played paintball maybe once, saying, uno, dos, tres, go. So half of the referees on this side of the field know what they're doing. So if you're lined up looking at this way and looking at these referees, you don't really know, like, they're sort of delayed. If someone leaves the box early, then, or if the other team started early, they would stop the point. They'd be like, okay, wait, hold on, everyone stop. We weren't actually saying go. Hold on, this referee jumped. It was a fucking shit show because the scoreboards didn't work. In every single NXL event I've been to, it always seems like the scoreboards don't work. I get it. Technology, it's going to fail. But you should always have some sort of backup field. You should have a backup scoreboard, at least a fucking air horn at the minimum, to be able to start and end games. But they don't have that. Again, lowers the playing experience, which is why Damian Ryan put in his Facebook post, it looks like that the numbers for the NXL are dropping. Why are the NXL numbers dropping, and why is the Iron City Classic selling out? That's one of the things that, you know, that's sort of my question. How is the NXL, the biggest national event, dropping, but this Iron City Classic going up? Easy. Player experience. Better refs. Better fields. They listen to the people. They care more about the people that are playing in the Iron City Classic. Why? I don't know. They just do. The other thing is that if you go back, if you haven't played paintball that long, if you go back and look at the PSP and the NPPL, one of the cool things is about going to those events was the amount of vendors that were there. The trade show was fucking ridiculous. Everyone and their mother could set up shop there. It didn't matter who you were, you could get a booth and you could set up and sell your products. If you're a pro shop, cool, come set your shit up, let's go, let's make some money. That was what the NXL could be, but since GI Sports owns it and GI Sports monopolizes it, they want to make the most money that they can. So the only vendors that are able to sustain and spend the money to be able to go to these events are Vulcan, HK Army, Planet Eclipse, GI Sports, Lux. You only have the biggest paintball companies out there, so you're not going to see Under. Your Push has been there, but again, you're not going to see Push at like every single event. You're not going to see the infamous tent set up. I mean, you probably will because that's a pro team, but you get what I'm seeing at. You're going to see a lot less of these lower end companies that aren't multi-million dollars, that aren't the biggest companies in paintball, because they don't have the money to go to these events. The Iron City Classic, if you have a little bit of money and you have a pro shop or whatever, you have some products you can sell, you can go to the Iron City Classic and set up a venue. There are going to be eventually more vendors at the Iron City Classic than there is at these NXL events. That's just sort of my prediction. Why? It's cheaper and easier to get a booth at the Iron City Classic. Again, because GI Sports is money hungry. So they have bad refs, they have bad scoring systems, or they have people that don't, when they're running the scoreboards, they have no idea what the fuck is going on. And I've seen it where teams lose matches when they won matches, and to reverse something like that on APPA, if something gets inputted wrong or something gets signed wrong, you have to go and dispute it. It's a big fucking deal. I've seen teams win a match but then lose it on paper and it's a shit show. It's absolutely ridiculous. Why? Because they don't care. They don't care if you come back next year. And the other thing is the prize packages. The prize packages are basically non-existent. It's not worth even mentioning. It's not worth talking about. You get jack shit when you play paintball. Here's the thing about paintball is that it's flawed like every other sport because we shoot balls that break and we have to constantly rebuy them. It's not like football. It's not like basketball. If I want to practice basketball, I buy one basketball, I can sit there, dribble it, I can shoot a hoop. Cool. It's not like after every time I shoot and make that hoop, well, fuck, gotta go run to Dick's Sporting Goods and go get another basketball. It's not like that. We have reoccurring issues that we have to constantly pay for. So when you go to practice for these NXL events, you have 3-4 weeks that just for practicing alone. So you're going to have all this money tied up in practice paint and practice stuff, traveling to and from different fields to be able to practice. And a lot of times you're going to have to practice out of state if you're playing at a higher level to actually play other teams that are worth practicing. So you spend all this money beforehand, and then you go to the event, and if you take first place, you basically get your entry fee back. So you don't get any of the practice paint and any of the practice stuff that you got, let alone you don't get any of the travel expenses or just the paint itself or anything else that you spent at the event. You get none of that. Why? Again, they don't give a fuck about the prize packages. They don't care if you win. It doesn't really matter. That's more money in their pocket if they lower those prize packages. They're all about, they don't, like I said, those D4, D5 teams, there's one every single day. They don't care if you win a D4 division. Congratulations. Cool. Move to D3 next year and let the next D4 team, let the next suckers come in. So what they're doing is that they're just sucking all the money out of the players, and they're not actually trying to physically grow the sport in any way possible. They're monopolizing everything, which is GI Sports, because the NXL is GI Sports. And they only want you to see what they want. They only want you to see what they want. So you only see the good things on Go Sports. You only see specific different things, and you don't see all of the background bullshit that all the divisional players have to go through. The pro players, sweet. Damian Ryan runs a bunch of the Plum Life divisional teams and sees all this bullshit and posted that there's these issues going on, and that's why he got fired. Because I guess they don't want him speaking out, whatever, that's neither here nor there. That's what happened. So now that you're all sort of caught up to speed about the NXL, how can we change this? Basically, one is like what everyone is saying. Everyone has to boycott the NXL, and it has to collapse like the PSP did. But how are we going to create a new league where this same shit doesn't happen? The way that paintball is run is ass backwards, like I said at the beginning of the video, is ass backwards compared to every other sport out there. What I mean by that? So, what do I mean by that is, look at the NFL. The NFL is a organization. It is a company. It is a business. The NFL isn't, like, I live in Michigan, so the NFL isn't ran by the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions don't own the NFL. The Detroit Lions play in the NFL. They are under one owner that pays the NFL to play, or however it works. So you have one organization that controls the entire league, that makes the rules, makes it fair for everyone. Any team and every team can play however they want. How are those teams going to make money? They go into the stadiums, people buy concessions, they get part of the ticket sales, and that's how the owners and all these people make money. That's why there's 8 away games and 8 home games in the NFL. It's equal. They want everything to be equal, so every team plays the same amount of games, and everyone's happy. Everyone's making money. It's like that with basketball, football, soccer, everything. Everything is organized under one organization that everyone goes into and plays. So how is paintball going to change? Say, because we're on the topic of Damian Ryan, we would need one person to own and run a league. So say Damian Ryan. Now, what is that going to do? How is that going to change? How is that going to change everything and make it so it's not like a big shit show? That would mean Damian Ryan, his only job would to be run the NXL or whatever you want to call it. That is going to be the one job. Focus on the player experience. Maybe lower profit a little bit. I'm not saying you have to lose money, but you can lower profit a little bit. Pay your refs more money so you have better refs, so less teams are getting fucked out there. You invest a little bit more in people that know how to set up the scoreboards, and you have a backup system. Again, you invest into that player experience. You spend a little bit more and go to a better location, a better venue, so you're not at Atlantic City where players are bitching all the time. You go to a place with good field, with good turf conditions, all that stuff. because you want players to keep coming back to your league. That's how you're going to make money. If GI Sports and if the NXL collapse tomorrow, GI Sports is still going to be in business. Obviously, they're going to lose money, but at the end of the day, they're not going to go bankrupt if the NXL just went under. But if this one person and this one organization, if this one little dome, say we'll just call it the NXL for just stay on the topic of the name, we'll just call it the NXL, is organized and ran by one person. That is their sole job. They don't want to collapse. They don't want to go bankrupt. That is their livelihood. So what's going to happen is that you're going to get more vendors in, like the Iron City Classic. You're going to have better and smaller teams coming in from around the country and around the world because they actually want to play in your event because it has a better player experience. Now, something to think about. I'm no conspiracy theorist or anything, and I'm not necessarily trying to accuse people of specific things, but don't you think it's kind of weird that the NXL is owned and operated by GI Sports and Tom Cole? Edmonton Impact is the best and a poster child GI Sports team that they push the hardest, right behind AC Dallas. And for some reason, Edmonton Impact seems to be doing the best in the NXL. Doesn't that seem to be sort of like a little bit of a conflict of interest? How it's just kind of mind-boggling. I'm not saying that they're necessarily cheating or that they have things going their way, because again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's kind of weird that the best team in paintball is a team that's owned by the NXL. Isn't that kind of weird? That's just sort of my thing. It's just like in NASCAR. If, you know, the NASCAR organization was owned by Ford Motor Company, it would be kind of weird if every single race a Ford driver won every single NASCAR event. Again, kind of weird, don't you think? So that's just sort of food for thought. I don't think that the NXL is growing paintball in any way. They're drying out the players of their money. They don't give a fuck. They only care about getting you in there, getting your money, and getting you out. They only care about profits. They only care about margins. They don't care if the refs fuck you. They don't care if they get it wrong on the APPA website. They don't care if you don't like the location of the venue. They don't care. That's just them. And it's kind of a sad thing, and that's basically sort of what Damian Ryan has been talking about in these Facebook posts, which in return got him fired, and it just sort of made people very angry and made people wake up and say, like, this is ridiculous, fuck the NXL as boycott, this, that, and you boycott, Belkin, boycott, blah. So that's sort of to get you guys up to speed if you don't really understand what's going on. That's how I think we will grow the sport and grow tournament paintball, is having a central owner that is not GI Sports, that is not HK Army, that is not Belkin, that is not whatever organization. It is a specific people or group of people that only have one interest, and that is running a league. That's not also running a multi-billion-dollar company called GI Sports or insert whatever big paintball name. That's what I think we need to do to change. We need to be on the same page as every other sport, every other nationally accredited sport, at least, like the National Football League, baseball, and everything else. We have a professional league. We're just, no one gives a fuck about us, and that's one of the reasons why, because we're never going to grow and our leagues keep collapsing because of this issue. So comment below what you guys think, and maybe people will listen, and maybe more people will boycott the NXL, and hey, maybe in the future something like this might happen where, you know, a new league gets started up by a group of people that only have one interest, and that's the common good of the paintball players. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope this sort of clears things up a little bit with how I feel. And again, if you want to see that Facebook post, go on to Damian Ryan's Facebook page. It's completely public. Anyone can view it. Thanks for watching.